Welcome back, 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 welcome back. Before we get started, bow your heads, close your eyes, open your ears. If not, just listen to the prayer, open your heart. But, dear Heavenly Father, thank you. First of all, they gonna have to wait, Lord. Thank you for the gifts you blessed me with today. Thank you for everything you've given me. Thank you for a great day. Thank you for the joy you placed in me. Thank you for just an amazing Monday. Mondays are rough, but thank you, Lord, for everything seeming to go according to plan, for our hearts to be light, Lord. Thank you for just such a beautiful day with family and loved ones and friends, and just thank you, Lord. Thank you. I didn't take the time to pause and say thank you, so I just wanted to thank you as much as I could. And Lord, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here right now, talking to your children again, Father. And I just ask, Father, for repentance over all of us, because we are all guilty of saying or doing something. And it may have been unintentional, Lord, but I just ask that you would continue to dwell amongst us and within us, Lord. I ask that you would help me get out of my flesh and really just speak what it is the Lord wants to say, Lord. Speak through me, use me, Rabbani, like you speak through me. I just want to be obedient. I want to say what you want me to say. I want to be a light. I want to be a vessel, Lord. And so I just ask that you would use me for that purpose, Lord, that you would speak to your children, that your point would come across, and that you would be blessed in this, Lord, that you would be given glory in this, and that you would be given the honor and praise that you deserve, because you deserve it always. When we have great days, when we have bad days, when we have I don't know days, you just deserve it all. And so, Lord, just thank you. Thank you so much for everything, Father. And I ask to the one viewing this, Lord, listening to me, that you would bless them, Lord, that you would just move in their lives. Let them encounter you and to see you in a fresh new way, Father. Please speak to their hearts. Please speak to their minds. If anybody is watching and they're anxious, or they feel alone, Lord, or they just feel grieved, I ask that you would heal them of those things, that you would just pour out your love onto them, Lord, that you would pour out your grace upon all of us, your peace, Lord, upon all of us, peace that no man can give us, Father. Please give it all. And please just increase this person listening with abundance, with blessings, Lord. So many blessings upon blessings that they have to be like, man, I can't even count them all. So, Lord, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lord. Just meet them where they're at. Meet us all where we're at, Lord. May your will be done. I love you so much, Father. I love you. We love you. And it is in Jesus' name we give thanks and pray. Glory be to God. Amen. All right, babes. So welcome back. Welcome back to the Real Bible Stories. I hope you've been well. I hope that life has been life in the best of ways, because I can be very honest with you and admit, like, from Tuesday to now, it feels like I've been fighting for my life, especially from Thursday to like yesterday. Oh, it was 2-piece combos all up and down these holy streets. Like, it was hard out here thugging for the Lord. It really was. But welcome back, friends. Welcome back for another week. I cannot believe, truly, like, how fast the podcast seem to be moving. I don't know. Normally when I post it, I'm like, oh, like, oh, another week. But now I just feel like, dang, like another week gone already. I don't know. I don't know if it's the confidence that I'm gaining. I don't know what it is, but so I don't hold you long. I don't ever want to hold you long, but I never really know how this is gonna go. And I know you've been seeing the link on the videos. That was not my intention, okay? I thought I was still gonna be like a 30 format, 45, maybe a 50-minute, and the Lord's like, speak. So we shall speak. But so tonight, wait. Y'all, because this ain't even got to do with this podcast, but I just gotta know. That's fine with me. All right. So, you ready? Our discussion for tonight, because yes, if I know when you view this, it may be day or whatever, but it is night here. You're part of the night class. So, our discussion tonight is let go of your offenses. Now, let me just first off start by saying this is such a one for me because I'm the type of person. I mean, I can see somebody in the store and they can and I will be ready to just rage. I don't know what's going on in their mind. I don't know if they just spaced out and had a thought, but because I see you seeing me and it feels like you have some art against me, I can go off. And the Lord has really had to work on me and be like, first of all, stop. Because who are you? You think you're so important. You don't talk to us like that, but you get so entitled and so caught up in I think sometimes we forget that we're merely humans and God's children, because I'd be like, I don't want to say this because I don't want people to think like she, but I'm gonna use my real name, okay? Sometimes you get like, I'm Victoria, you're doing good in life, you're doing good wherever you're at, you like, I'm that person, and you forget that, baby, you're not a bag of beans, all right? Like, stop it. See that you ain't even a great value. Once again, the Lord doesn't talk to you like that, so please don't think. But sometimes I think, we can get a little, and we forget, like, everything's not about us. And even if you don't find it in confidence, I feel like if a lot of traumatic things have happened to you in your life and you've just been through things, sometimes it's easy to get that victim mentality of like, man, like something must be wrong with me, like something must be wrong with my clothes, like there just has to be something because the math ain't mathing. And that's why we're going to talk about offenses today, baby, because I got you. I know what that's like. I got you. It's a us thing. We are here together. And so this, honestly, I'm gonna just get into it. But like I said, this is something that, I always, of course, want you to feel like, there's no judgment here. I hope you never feel judged or like I'm trying to shame you or blame you for how you live your life or your past or anything. Because I can't judge you for that. Just like you mess up in your days, I mess up in my days. Just how you don't know everything, I don't know everything. And I don't want to know everything, and I don't want to pretend to be this perfect person who doesn't have flaws. I just want to be here with you and like guide you and us together walk and see the Lord, because somebody may have a comment or something or a different perspective where I can be like, wow, that makes so much sense, but as long as we can at least respect each other's opinions, without fighting, without beefing, that's what I'm here for. So I really hope that you're ready to talk about this. So sorry if teacher mode goes on. Hello, but you're gonna get it. You're gonna get all of it, even that. Okay, so as you know, your girl been hitting up Genesis. We still in that thing, but that's not the point, okay? That is not the point. We are in Genesis, and I had read this story. I've heard this story talked about. It's kind of one of those stories again that's just like on the back burner. Not on the back burner, but I guess it doesn't really seem like it's, I haven't really heard it talked about that much in a church setting. Now, to be fair, this could have been one of the church settings where I just wasn't paying attention. But here recently, I feel like I've been doing good, like just being there and in tune with the Lord. But I do remember TD Jakes had a sermon and he kind of talked about this. But so I went back and I studied this, and I really just want to talk about, to me, what I took away. Of course, take this all back to God. Ask him what he wants you to get from it. Read the Bible yourself, get your own understanding. But hopefully I can help paint a picture that helps you understand the Bible and the Lord better. Okay, so tonight we're actually going to be talking about Jacob and his children, the one who wrestled with the Lord, and he was like, your name's no longer Jacob, it's okay, I forget. Yes, Lord, let's take it back. So Jacob, he is the son of Isaac. Isaac is the son of Abraham. And it's so funny because in your Bibles, there is this chronology. There we go. Thank you, Jesus. Help me get it together. There's this chronology of like everybody and their descendants, so like Abraham begot so and so and so and so begot so and so. And I used to hate reading that because I'm like, Lord, I know you want me to know about all your children, but why I gotta know? Like, why I gotta know about the generations? And I know the generations are very, very important, but saying it like this just kind of makes me excited because I've never been one in generations or even being close to like having it right. I'm like, who had who again? And how they have who? But I've been studying. I know these people. I know them. So Abraham had Isaac, right? Isaac ends up, first of all, Isaac had 12 sons, yes, from the 12 tribes of Israel. So Isaac has a son named Jacob. Jacob comes from Isaac's favorite wife, Rachel. Yes, so Rachel wasn't giving children like that. It was just one of those things where her womb was shut up, and her sister Leah was having all the children, but really Leah was blessed with the most children because Jacob didn't love Leah like he loved Rachel, like he played favoritisms. Now, to be that person, Jacob did want Rachel first. Isaac did want Rachel first. They could be like, Jacob, no, that's the son. Isaac wanted Rachel first. He did. He was in love with her. He was head over heels. The father tricked him and was like, no, you got to have Leah because you can't have the younger sister without having an older sister first. It was a thing. So Isaac ends up working 14 years and he ends up having Leah, Rachel. They both have concubines that I can't remember their names, but he ends up having children with them. And so he gets 2 sons from Rachel, and they're twins, which is Esau and Jacob. Now, Esau came out first, but Jacob was clutching onto his heels. And the prophecy was it was going to be the younger was going to be mightier than the older. The older one would be the servant to the younger one. Now, Esau came out with this rugged red hair all over him, right? I'm just saying. But anywho's, so Esau, he ends up getting tricked out of his promises. First of all, he sold his birthright. He was hungry one day and he was like, make me some food, Jacob. And Jacob was like, I'll make you food if you sell me your birthright. And so let me just pause right here and say I'm so sorry to y'all because I'm not being real. Her name is not Rachel. I don't know why I keep calling this kid Rachel. Her name is Rebecca. Rebecca. So, because I'm not editing none of that out. Because the story is the same, the name is different, and I'm so sorry. So, Rebecca and Leah are the two sisters. I didn't go and look at the concubines' names, but the Lord was like, you might want to go back and redo this. I'm sorry, I'm getting it together. So, Rebecca was not loved as much as Leah. So Leah, she was more prosperous in having children, you know. And so finally, the Lord remembered Rebecca and blessed her with two sons, two twin boys. Now, Esau was tricked out of his birthright because he was hungry and he was telling Jacob, like, I see you making some soup over there. You gonna fix me some? And Jacob was like, I'll give you some soup, but you got to give me your birthright. Now, for the people being like, oh, he shouldn't have. Well, Esau was like famished. And I don't know about y'all, but listen, I went to the track once upon a time in my younger years, and I decided to show out, basically, right? Because I wanted to prove I was a macho little girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody gonna outrun me. Ain't no man gonna keep me down and outrun me. It was a thing. It was a thing. It was a thing. That's a short tangent about the whole event. But point is, I got to the point where I got so famished, I thought I was gonna pass out because I didn't have water. I was dehydrated. So look, I'm just saying, when you're on the brink like that, you never know what you'll give up or do. So please don't be hard judging on these people, okay? So anyways, Esau does it. He gives up his birthright, right? And he ends up despising his birthright because he was the one who gave it away. Like, you can't be bitter when you decide to do it. Anywho's, after that, Isaac is like, I'm old and like, I'm about to be unalived, okay? Like, I know that it's coming for me to pass on to the other life. And so he's telling Esau, go out, catch, because Esau was a great hunter. And he's like, look, go hunt, bring me the kill, make it up in some savory meats, and I'm gonna bless you. Well, Rebecca hears it and she's like, oh, not in my house, you're not. And so she tells Jacob the plan, and Jacob's like, no, because my father, he's not gonna know, like, he's gonna hate me, this and that, and this. And so Rebecca's like, don't worry about it, like, I'll take the fall for this, it's great. So what they did was, Jacob made the food, right? He made the food, he gets everything together, and then Rebecca, if I could get to Rebecca, she takes some clothes that felt like Esau. Yes, and Rebecca took goodly remnant of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her youngest son. So choice clothes. She put on choice clothes on Jacob. This is in Genesis 27, if you want to go and see. I'll probably put it up here. And then it says in 16, and she put the skins of the kids of goats upon his hands and upon the smooths of his neck. So basically, she, put this goat stuff on him and makes him feel hairy like Esau, because Esau was a hairy man. So Jacob gets the blessing from Isaac, right? Well, Esau hears about it. He's furious. He is ready to put Jacob in the grave, like Cain and Abel 2.0. But Rebecca's like, no. So he leaves and he goes to Laban, to Rebecca's family, and there is when he wrestles with the Lord, angel of the Lord, but the Lord, and they wrestled all night. And so by the time the morning comes, the angel is like, release me, I gotta go, because it's daytime, like I'm past my scheduled time. And Jacob's like, I'm not gonna let you go until you bless me. And so he was so strong that the angel had to touch his hips and like put him out of commission. Now imagine that you are wrestling with the Lord and you're giving him all you got and you're going toe to toe with this man. So he takes your hip out. I'm sorry, Lord, but I'm just saying, okay. So he messes up the socket in his hip. And yes, he was walking with a limp because his hip was messed up. Anywho's, now we are talking about Jacob's family and his kids. I know the backstories be backstorying, but you got to know what it is you getting into before I get into it. So there's a little history on that and backstory if you want to read more about them. Like I say, Genesis is like a start of all of that, okay? And so I do recommend that you read it, because I'm telling y'all, a lot of these shows that we be watching, like, this is Sparta, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all can find all that in the Bible. Like, I don't know if you'll find crime shows. Yes, you will. If you go read Esther, you got you a whole crime show in there. You got some scandals, all right, some love triangles. It's a thing. I'm telling you what I know. Okay, so tonight we're gonna talk about Dinah or Dinah. I don't know. I'm gonna call her Dinah. I want to say Dinah. So you're going to call her Dinah. Okay. I'm going to call her Dinah, but we're going to talk about her and we're going to talk about her brothers. So I'm going to read you this whole chapter. It is 35 verses long. And I just want you to be aware that I'm about to read you all of this, okay? So this is Genesis 34, and yes, I'm reading the King James Version. And it says, "And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land." So this is not Rebecca, this is Leah, the sister, her daughter. But I mean, it's still Jacob's daughter. But you get the point. Like, Rachel gave him Benjamin and Joseph. Anywho's, if I don't stop calling this person Rachel, Rebecca. Okay, and when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Give me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter, and his sons were with. Okay. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Jacob held his peace until they were come. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out into Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were very grieved. And they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought to not be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longed for your daughter. I pray you give her him to wife, and make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what you shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry, and give, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto him, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. But in this we will consent unto you. If ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came into the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us get them our daughters. Only herein the men consent unto us for to dwell with us to be one people. If every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised, shall not their cattle and substance and every beast of theirs be ours? And shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword, and came up to the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, Ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And I, being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? Okay, so there's a lot going on. Let me break it down to you. Dinah has decided that she wants to go out and look at the land. I don't really know, because it says she wants to go look at the daughters. So I don't know if she just wanted to go hang out, kick it, like see what they was about. You know, like I said, like how I wanted to go to Korea, kick it, like see what it was about. I don't know if it was like a thing like that, or if she was like, girl, you got that new hair care product. I don't know. I just know she wanted to go see the daughters. That's what we know. But as she's going to do this king's son Shechem sees her, and he decides that he has to have her. But instead of him doing it the right way, he defiled her. Now, in my Bible, because when I was reading this, one thought I had was like, okay, so they're saying defiled. So do they mean defiled like, you know, it was just an improper relationship before marriage? But in my notes, it says that she was sexually assaulted. Now, if you know my story, if you haven't heard about it, you know, long story short, I have been sexually abused too as a kid. There's a video on that. I think it's like the first one that I did when I came back, just because it's such a long story. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it again, but that happened to me. And so first my heart was like grieved for Dinah, because, you know, it's hard when somebody like takes advantage of you, because why would you want to take advantage of me? You know, especially in that way. Like, you got all these people out here that you can go and get it from willingly, and you had to step over here and bother me when I literally didn't ask you for any of your beef or juices. Like, I didn't want nothing from you, and you made this an us thing, and I wanted it to be a you thing. And so, you know, Dinah is offended because this man has taken her. And like, first of all, she doesn't get to honor. And you know, you gotta understand, back then it was very, very heavy that like you were a virgin, because if I'm not mistaken, you could get stoned for that type of stuff. You know, like, it's not a, as far as I know, people ain't out here getting, unalived because of who they lay down with or the fact that they lay down with somebody. But in the olden days, them OGs, they didn't play that. And I mean, even outside of that, even if that was not the case, she was not his, and he just did that to her, and so she was defiled. And y'all, I really want to talk about this too, because I find it so one thing that I have been learning about is that whenever you commit the act, you tie souls with people, and your flesh becomes one and all that jazz. And I don't know, I guess I always assumed that, like, willingly, that's when the soul ties. But it says here that in verse 3, and his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel and spoke kindly unto the damsel. So his soul, he took advantage of this girl, but yet his soul still, like, wanted to hold on to her. And that's just twisted to me. I'm sorry, like, I guess it's just mind-blowing to me, because like I said, I never thought that people could soul tie you like that. Like, not only did he force himself upon her physically, but like, spiritually, he forced himself upon her. Like, dang, get up off this lady like that. But so he was in love with her, like, he was whipped. And I'm just sitting here like, that's not the point though, okay? It's kind of part of the point, because, like, tell me why would you think that that's okay? But I want to get on to more. So after this happens, Jacob hears about it. He holds his peace because his sons were not with him, which, okay, fine. Then the sons come and they hear about it and they are raged. And these are the same sons who later, like, get offset by their younger brother and continue their paths. But in this story, they were so upset with Shechem that they wanted to deceive them. And so they told them they needed to be circumcised, because that was the covenant at the time between the Lord and his people, circumcision. And so in order for them to be one, they would have to follow the laws of their God. And so Hamar was happy about it. He seemed like he wanted power and land and all that jazz anyways. And, like, their cattle will be our cattle, like, because that's such a great reason for y'all to marry and intermingle. Anywho's, the sons let these people get circumcised. Now, just to give you a small breakdown of it, because once again, I don't know the age ranges of people watching. I hope that you are old enough to receive this, but to be an adult about this in the best way that I can. Circumcision happens with the males, and it happens on their little pickle poppers. It happens on their pickle poppers, okay? And basically what happens is the skin that's on that pickle, like that dark green skin, you know how you eat a pickle and that dark green skin on the pickle, what they essentially do is they take that excess skin off the pickle with, like, a scalpel, and it's very, very painful. And I don't know how to give it to you other than that. Maybe you can ask a guy in your family if they remember it. I don't know. I think many people it happens to them when they're a baby. Now, point is, maybe you can Google it. I don't know. Research it. But I'm gonna give you that because that's the way the Lord gave it to me. Pickle poppers. That's what they do. And so they wait till after they have that done, and then they go in there and they ransack the place and kill everybody and take their spoils. And so what really kind of just, like, blew my mind about this story. Oh, and so then they go back home and Jacob's like, y'all didn't have that to do. Now I'm gonna look like, enemy number one. And so his sons are like, well, would it have been better for him to treat her like a whore than to, like, do right by her? But first of all, let's break this down. Let's break this whole situation down because it always bothers me. So, for starters, I personally think Jacob should have said something. You wrestled with the Lord all night, but yet on this, and yes, okay, fine, he held his peace because his sons were not with him. But when they came back and they were talking. Jacob should have been the one to speak, not the sons, you know. And so, not only that, but I understand that the brothers was mad, and I wanted to put this in here and make this a point too. Be so careful what battles you take on, whether it be for your friends or family or whoever. Like, and I'm guilty of this too, and I don't always think it's a bad thing, you know, but sometimes you could jump in situations and you can be hasty and you could want justice so bad for a person that you don't realize, like, maybe I should slow down and pump my brakes because this is probably not the best course of action. Like, this is not the right way to go about the things. Now, at the same time, I do believe in defending people. I believe in it wholeheartedly. In fact, I got in trouble for it a lot because I used to defend people. So I can't sit here and say I don't understand, you know, like, if that was my sister, I would have wanted to beat people up and to defend her. But first of all, I don't think it was right for them to lie to them people, you know, about like the circumcision, because to me, it was just wrong that they lied about that, you know, because it wasn't like the Lord told them at that time to do that unless they were God's, you know, God's children. And then two, I think what really just made me be like, for real, y'all, was the fact that like these men had their pickle poppers peeled. They're already in pain. It is hard for me to bump into and not feel like, ooh, so to think about like going through a process like that as an adult male, like not even a kid, bro, but as an adult male, you go through that and then you get ransacked. Like, I don't know, that just made me a little sad because like these people didn't defend themselves, and not only that, but it wasn't as if the whole town was guilty for the atrocity of Shechem. Like, if they was gonna go after anybody, they should have just went after Shechem, you know. But they went after everybody, the women who didn't have nothing to do with it, you know. And like, not only that, but you're supposed to be defending your sister, a woman. Yeah, you're gonna go and disrespect all these other women and men who had nothing to do with the situation at hand. And so, you know, and for Jacob to even be like, you know, oh, like they're gonna hate me, and he's like, well, would it have been better for her to be a whore? She wouldn't have been a whore, because if he would have married her, everything was gonna be okay. Everything was gonna be peaches and green. So I don't understand how they tried to make what they did a justifiable argument. But at the same time, this is coming from me now, like me now thinking about it logically now, because a younger me, heck, a me last year, I'd have been like, heck yeah, like justice for her. But I didn't understand really justices and punishments, you know, because we think about like punishments as, oh, you know, if you do bad, like something bad should happen to you as a punishment. But that's not true, you know. Like, sure, you are gonna reap what you sow, and sometimes you're gonna reap bad things if you sow bad things. But just because a person does something bad, it doesn't mean that they deserve badness to them, because once again, we have all did bad things and we have all created atrocities, and people want to be like, well, I ain't never murdered nobody, or I ain't never blew up a kitten farm, but y'all both was guilty of doing something that was a sin. Like, it was not right. And so you don't get to sit there and say that because in your mind, your offense was less, that you don't deserve anything, but this person does, because we are all guilty of doing so. Now, I'm not saying, because there are some people in the world who do things and they definitely should have to pay, whether it's time served, you know, reimbursements for the house or the car you drove into. But I'm just saying, and I don't want to touch that too much. Yes, Lord, we're going to move. I'm just saying, it was very sad to me that, you know, the whole town went up in flames. And the Lord is telling me to leave that alone, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But I hope you see what I was trying to say by that. Like, yes, you need to pay for what it is you have done, but that only person, not the whole village, because the whole village was a guilty father. And yeah, you should be held accountable for your actions, whatever that accountability looks like. There we go. A person should be indeed held accountable for their actions. But just remember, I guess at the same time, what I'm saying is, don't judge people for what they've done. People, because we are not our worst mistakes. And you truly have to believe that about everybody. If you're going to walk this thing out with the Lord and have grace and mercy, and I know that that's a hard thing to hear. I know, because one of the hardest things for me to do was to forgive people who offended me in that way sexually, you know. But I had to realize we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And I had to realize, like, regardless of anything, I still wouldn't want bad things to happen to that person. And you shouldn't pray for bad things to happen to that person, because for one, that's still God's child. And two, like I said, we're all guilty of something. So when God looks at us, he doesn't go, she stole a car and she set a house on fire, so, you know, the one who set the house on fire, I'm just gonna, you know, unalive her tomorrow. But the one who stole the car, I'm gonna just give her a flat tire. Like, he doesn't do us like that, you know. To him, both of them done went out here and created some not so good scenarios. But this is okay. I can work with this. I can work this out for good. Do you see? Do you see what I'm saying now? I hope. So anywho's, with that story, with that wild story being the highlight in the setup, I wanted to talk to them because I just wanted you to see really offenses, like I say. And I could see the brothers were offended, but first of all, it didn't even happen to the brothers. It happened to the sister. But I know that they were trying to defend her. But do you see how offense can be deadly? Because by the brothers being offended by the actions that took place, instead of going to God and asking God for direction or letting their father handle it, they took matters into their own hand and they destroyed like a whole area of people because of this one singular, you know what I'm saying, thing. And like I said, it wasn't as if, and it wasn't ideal, but Shechem was gonna honor her. Like, he was gonna marry her. Like, he was gonna be with her. He was going to try to do the right thing about her. Now, is it fair? No, because I don't know if she was feeling Shechem after the fact. Like, I don't know the details about that. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to be with my perpetrator either, but you get the point. Like, Dinah should have been the one to be able to handle it in the way she saw fit, because it was about Dinah. But anywho's, even Jacob could have just said something. We're talking about offenses, friends. So, and like, let me know your opinion on it, because I would like to know your opinion. Like, do you feel like what they got was fair? You know, like, be respectable. But I just want to hear other people's opinions, like I say. And once again, I understand, because I have siblings, you know, and I do anything for my siblings, but I don't think I go out here and ransack a hole. But once again, this day and age, I don't know what I would have did there, because if you can tell, 3 or 2 of my last excuses or examples included fire. I'm a pyromaniac. I love a chance to set something on fire. So I don't know. Let go of your offenses so you don't become defensive. Now, I have found myself at the hand of many opportunities on offenses. Now, there are smaller versions of this lesson on my Wednesday Wellness called Let Go of Offenses, but I want to dive deeper into this. To me, learning how to overcome this is important. We can be offended in many areas of our lives, and it is so hard to shake these yucky feelings, especially when God tells you to be quiet. So, Have you ever had that? Have you ever had that happen? When the Lord tell you to be quiet and you want to speak and he's like, right foot and hold it, left foot and hold it. Like, hush your mouth. Someone or some situation has cut you deeply and hurt you so bad, but God has told you to be still. I remember the Lord dealing with me like this here recently. Now, before I tell my stories, remember, we war not against flesh and blood, okay? Now, okay, so we war not against flesh and blood. That's going to be y'all favorite scripture when y'all get through messing with me, because it's my favorite scripture to use right now. Ephesians 6 and 12. We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and high powers and places. My favorite scripture, yet I forget parts of it, but we wrestle against them, powers of the world, all that jazz. So I said at the beginning, Billy, I said at the beginning, don't have offenses so you don't become defensive. Because when you have offenses and you're like offended by everything and everything sets you off, you start to build up these walls, you know, and you become very defensive. And every little thing that's said to you or that, you know, could have even been nothing but a hill of beans, you know, it'll affect you. Like, for instance, if you're a person who one offense you've dealt with was maybe rejection. People always telling you, like, you know, your hair is not pretty. You get defensive and you build walls around that part of yourself. So when somebody comes and they're like, hey, did you do something different with your hair today? Well, what about my hair? Did you not like my hair? Did you not think my hair? You know, like, you get defensive and you get so like wound up, and the other person's like, excuse me, Roberta, I just wanted to know if your hair was different. Like, pump the brakes, bucko. And so you really have to be careful when things try to offend you and situations try to offend you, you know, because it can make you have a negative view on the world and the things around you. And that's not what we're here for, because remember, it is not that person that's trying to offend you and bother you. It's that spirit. Now, let me tell you a short version, and I thank you, Jesus, for putting this on my mind. Well, I thought about this, but I was like, I'm not going to include this, but apparently he wants me to include it. Here lately, like I said, I've been getting closer to the Lord, seeking him, searching him, building a relationship with him. It's been great. It's been amazing. Okay. I can truly say I'm loving it. But so last maybe November, it was somewhere last year in that area frame, I went to Walmart with my mom one day. I'm in the store walking with my mom, right? We're shopping for something. And as I'm passing this Caucasian lady, she flinches. Like, you know, we're touching, she doesn't want to bump shoulders with me. And immediately the Lord was like, that's a spirit. And so we keep walking in the store, and it honestly tries to offend me, because in my mind, I grew up from Jasper, Texas. Jasper, Texas is known for like its racism and the fact that it was slave owned. Like, we were on the news. Like, when I tell people I'm from Jasper, they're like, oh man, you're from that. And I'm like, please stop knowing me for that. But yes, that is where I'm from. So when that happened with that lady, and because I've had so many other experiences with people who don't like my skin tone, I wanted to be offended, you know, because, oh, she doesn't like me because I'm black, you know, and da da da. And she see all this beauty and I'm looking good now, once again, making it about me. Because first of all, I don't know what that lady was going through, but it was the fact that she reacted like that next to me. Like, why people can't be just nice and smiling at me all the time? Like, why you gotta act like that at me? But what I realized was, and not even me, what the Lord revealed to me was, it wasn't even me. It was a spirit in her that could not touch the spirit that was in me, which was the Lord's. And y'all, honestly, looking at it through that perspective, I felt kind of powerful, because I've never encountered such a human interaction that was spiritual, if that makes sense. I've never had anybody flinch near me, you know? And so to have that moment happen and for the Lord to be like, before you even start, let me shut you down and let me just tell you some truth before you even get revved up the second gear. So just always use discernment, man, and think about what's going on and what's happening. And when you really look at a situation, look at the heart of it. What's really going on? What's really happening there? If you can piece it together, because sometimes people will try to offend you just because they're having a bad day and you can't do anything about that. But you know, that was an example for me about how I could have easily just taken that and been like, oh, it's because, you know, she's racist and she don't like black people, and I knew that this was a racist town and we shouldn't be here. You know, like that could have rippled. It could have ruined my whole day. It could have ruined my Walmart experience. I had to go to another store after that. It could have made that experience horrible too, because I had to go into another store and deal with more Caucasian people. So see, when things happen, be like the Lord say, shake it off of you. Just shake it off. And it's not always easy, because this next story, but just shake it off. So one thing I really want to talk about, I've been wanting to talk about this story for a while, and I was very nervous to talk about it when I was doing my last series of the podcast, because I just didn't want to be out of line with telling this story. And I guess I wanted to know how to word it, because I didn't want to offend people or hurt people's feelings. But it's one of those things where I feel like I'm hoping and praying that this is going to help somebody and that my point is going to get across. So going back to my notes, here recently, I have had something happen to me these past couple of months, and the Lord has had to be like, no, like you can't react. No, you can't speak. No, you can't tell people off. You must remain silent. No, you can't react like that. Like, I need you to be at a place where you're just peaceful and silent. So let's back this up. After I come home from South Korea and that whole mess, my pastor asked me to sing on our Christmas program. So this would have been in like 2022. At the end of 2022, he would have asked me to sing in this choir program. I told him, you know, I was a vocal major, the whole shebang, which is why he wanted me to sing, because I had never sang for the church before. But it was one of those things where y'all have a choir. Like, I'm not just, you know, they weren't really saying they were looking for people on the worship team, so I wasn't going to offer my services. Like, I was just sitting back because I sing in a crowd. But so, you know, he asked me to sing on stage, and I was super nervous because it was my first performance in a while. And if you want to see that video, just let me know. I'll give you the link. It is up on my YouTube, but because it's one of those things where it's copyrighted anyway, I just show the people who want to see it. So if you want to see it, let me know and I'll show it to you. But so fast forward to like the beginning, to like May or so last year, this guy who plays the piano, he's like, I remember when you performed for Christmas, and I would love for you to come and sing with us. Once again, we're not giving anybody names because the names are not important. The story is important. So Paperclip was like, look, I really love your voice. I want you to be a part of my team. And I'm like, okay, sure, Paperclip. Like, you know, he looks like me. So I'm like, yeah, you know, like I'm very confident now. And so I go there, right? Now, Q-Tip and Cotton Ball, they're family. Now, there's another one. We're going to call her Tiara Lady. Tiara Lady is up there too. I hope I remember all these people. And, you know, there's a drummer, you know, a bassist, another guitarist, an acoustic guitarist, you know, and it's just us up there singing. So when I go up in there, at first, everything's peaches and greens. Everything seems well. You know, the first meeting, you know, Paperclip is talking about what we're here to do. We're here to worship. What is worship? This is what worship is. This is why we are worshiping. Like, it's not about us individually. It's about us all together as a group, collectively. Like, we are in this together, right? Right. The first rehearsal, it goes okay. My mom goes with me to these rehearsals. So the first rehearsal is okay. I'm nervous. You know, I'm nervous. I ain't really been on stage like that. It's been a minute since I've been on stage, so I'm nervous. First performance goes well. Like, I love it, right? I noticed some things and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep this to myself. And so let me also pause a second because I'm looking at my notes here and say, this church I go to, I love this church. I love this church. I love the pastor. I love the people. But some people in that church, once again, act like Black people shouldn't exist. Like, they just act like we shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be on the stage. I don't know what it is, but it's just one of those things where you can just tell by their face. And it's one of those things where they don't even have to say it to you, but you catch the gaze and you're just like, Or they'll shake everybody else's hand, but when they get to you, all of a sudden they got amnesia and they don't know what they was doing there anymore. But anywho's, second rehearsal goes right. And in the second rehearsal, that's when I start to pick up on some things. So Q-Tip is trying to out-sing me. Like, sing louder than what I'm singing. Okay, Tiara lady and we are not on the same voice, but I'm singing a voice part with Q-Tip. So I'm a mezzo soprano, so I can sing the high soprano notes, or I can sing the alto notes, or even sometimes the low tenor notes. Like, I'm very diverse in my range, right? Because we pride ourselves on that, because yeah. But so normally I sing with Q-Tip to help her out because she can't always get her notes out. And that's not me being mean or judgmental, but she cannot always get her notes out without it straining her throat. And so, you know, I was singing her part with her. And so, excuse me, I remember one time I was asking Paperclip to like play me a note, and he played the note for me, but I'm asking him like, what note is this? And instead of him telling me the note name, he's just pressing the note. And I'm like, bro, for real? Because other people may not know what this note is, but I actually need, like, if you are playing a C in the key of A, I need to know that that is a C in the key of A. If you are playing an E flat in the key of F, I need to know that there is an E flat in that mug that I'm trying to sing. So that way, when I go home and on my little piano keyboard, I can type in those notes. Anywho's, that was one thing that was bothering me. And I'm gonna just tell you a bunch of little instances because we're just gonna rev this all up into one big thing. And so there was also two other people, a mother and a daughter. We're gonna call them left ring, right ring. Left ring, right ring. So left ring and right ring, once again, I thought that since they were my people, everything was peaches and greens, right? Well, one song we sang, I ain't gonna lie, when I first did it, I was cracking. I was like, whose notes are these? Because they're not mine, Lord. And then I was singing one part a little bit too high. And one of them made the comment, right wing, she was like, oh my. And so, you know, it was just a lot of little things that were being said indirectly to me, because you know when a person's talking at you, even if they don't want to be 100 about it, you know when somebody is trying to like shade you. And so there came one part where Paperclip was asking who wanted to lead this particular song, and right wing was like, left wing wants to do it, left wing wants to do it. That's her mom. I get it, I understand, because I ride for my babe like that. Well, we get on stage Sunday to perform, and left wing isn't even singing her part that loud, or like not that loud, but like she lacked the confidence for that part. And I want you to understand this about me before I tell you other instances. Praise and worship is something I take serious. Like, being able to worship the Lord, being able to sing for him, to me, that's an honor. That's the highest honor a person could ever have, to be able to sing to and for the Lord. All I ever wanted, all I've ever wanted in my life was to be on stage, worshiping the Lord in spirit and truth, causing other people to worship him, helping other people get into the presence of the Lord, letting him sing through me and use me, and to share my gift, because I do believe it is a gift. And so we would have one rehearsal on Wednesday nights and then another rehearsal Sunday morning before service. But the rehearsal we had Wednesday nights, sometimes they weren't even a full hour. It was just to run through parts and be done. And what frustrated me about that is, once again, I've went to school for this, and not everybody's like me, no. But if you want to get better at something, you're going to practice at it. You're going to practice at it as long as it takes. So blowing us off on this mediocre practice for 45 or 50 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody has schedules and things to do, so they can't commit their time to this. And then doing a dress rehearsal Sundays before church, to me, like, that's a crash and burn situation, because you're not really taking the time to learn your parts. And even if, we used to get the recordings, he used to be like, Paperclip used to be like, just go home and listen to it on the radio and sing with it. That's fine and dandy, but once again, if you're playing something in the key of A flat, but this composer wrote it in the key of E, I'm singing two different songs here, like two different octaves. And for me, it's fine to get adjusted, but it's not fine for everybody to get adjusted, because not everybody knows how to do that. So if you tell Sally Mae to go home and practice this song, she is gonna come to church with it stuck in her mind one way, and now it's too late for us to right wrongs, because the service is about to start. And so anyways, one thing that happened was Q-Tip, I was rehearsing my solo. I was rehearsing this solo song, right? Well, it was a group song, but I was rehearsing my solo part, y'all. She sat down on the stage, and for my whole entire song, she sat singing down. Now, the reason why I had an offense with that was because you were literally up all the other songs you were leading. You were up when we were all singing together, but now because it's me, the one you keep over singing, you sit down. And I have an issue with that too, because she knows better. It's not like any of us was younger. We were all the same age. And so it became a thing where, like, we were not singing together. This was the Mariah Carey and Beyonce show. And it was just very taxing and tedious, because instead of harmonizing and being together, it was all over the place. We couldn't get on one accord. Then on top of that, I really just felt like a lot of opposition against me. And so I remember one dream I had one night was I was in the backyard of the house that I'm in my house, and this blue snake, I have this stick right here, and for whatever reason, I am trying to like pick up this snake. I had caught this snake and I'm trying to fling it across the field, to get it away from me. Well, the snake ends up biting like my shoulder right here, and I threw it against the roof and it fell. Now, the bite didn't hurt me, okay? It didn't affect me at all. I don't even think I bled. I just saw like the bite marks, but the bite marks were not snake marks. They were human teeth marks. And so, so let me pause here and say, I don't dream about snakes much. If you dream about a snake, 9 times out of 10, that's an enemy you're dreaming about. There's an enemy in your camp. You've changed circles, or something is going on, or there's an enemy after you or around you. That is what the snakes represent. Now, I've used to dream about snakes a lot, especially in college. Like, I remember one of the scariest dreams I ever had about one is it was a big anaconda, and it ran straight into my car and knocked the whole freaking thing off of like this wooden thing I was on. But anyways, I had that dream. And so I called my grandma and I told her about it because, once again, I'm a dreamer. I don't always know how to interpret my dreams. My grandma knows how to interpret my dreams. So when I have the really scary dreams, normally she has to tell me what the really scary dreams mean. And so I call and I ask her about this dream, and she's like, well, the fact that it's blue and green, it means that it's foreign. And I was telling her how slithery and slippery it was, and she was like, that's probably a female snake, a female. And she's like, well, did you look it in the eyes? And I was like, no, I didn't. And so she has told me before, and she reminded me again, if you look a snake in the eyes in a dream, it's hard to remember that when you're dreaming, because you're not thinking like, oh my God, I'm in a dream, let me look at the snake. Like, you're dreaming. But so sometimes though, I have had moments where I do realize as I'm dreaming, this is a dream and I need to check my surroundings. Like, this has happened to me before, but this was not one of those nights. And so she's like, well, next time, just pay attention to it, right? So about like 2 weeks or so later, and so while this is happening, schedules are being changed. So like, we're supposed to be on set schedules for every month, right? So whatever team performs on October, they won't perform in November. And back then we were having 2 services, so we would have to sing for 8 and then, or for 9, and then turn around and sing for the 11 o'clock service. Now at this time, I was also in children's ministry, and I love the babies. I still have stickers from that my babies have given me. But yeah, look at the little llama. But I love children's ministry. I love my babies. I love children's ministry, but I had to choose. And so even with children's ministry, because let me jump there real quick. Children's ministry, I loved it. And I love teaching the kids because, first of all, to me, it is such a great feeling when you come into a rowdy classroom, but you can get down on those kids' levels and they will really hear you out. Because I remember being told so many times, like, I can't believe they're sitting down and talking to you. And I'm like, yeah, because if you get on a kid's level, they're gonna talk to you, but you have to let them know you are the adult. Like, I will joke with you, we can be friends, we can kick it, we can do the whole shebang, but at the end of the day, I'm your teacher. Like, I'm the adult, and there's consequences if you try to get over on me. But it was the same thing when I worked in preschools, because I had one of the rowdiest classes at my last job, and people could not believe that my kids would be quiet for me, that they would sit for me, and that they loved on me so much above all. Because anywho, it's the God in me. It's not me, it's the Lord. And so at that time, what was happening was I used to get emailed the lesson plans, so I knew what we were talking about that Sunday, and I knew how to prepare my class. I stopped getting lesson plans. They stopped coming my way, and then it kind of just became excuses. Oh, well, I had a hard week this week, so I couldn't get this done. Or, oh, that happened, so, this couldn't happen, but you'll be fine. And then it became a thing where, like, all of the resources I needed was not there. They knew the snacks needed to be delivered, but the snacks were not there. There were missing chairs out of my classroom, but all the other classrooms have all. And the one I was going to about it, at the time, at first she was very helpful, but it became more or less like less helpful. And I confronted her. I told her, like, look, I don't want to give up on this, but this is what I need. And she's like, okay, we can accommodate that. No, we couldn't. And one of the last things that happened was, so you have to confirm, at least at how I was working then at the church, it was like you had to confirm your placements when it was your week. So, I did it every other week. And she didn't send me this confirmation to say, like, you're on the schedule this weekend. Well, even if I know that this is my weekend for it, you still should have sent the email out, because I don't know what's going on. Anything could have happened, right? I get to church and she's like, can you step in for me? And I'm sitting here thinking, for real? But this wasn't the only time it happened, but I did it anyways because I love serving. I love my kids. Like, I have built a bond, and to me, they are my best friends. Nobody can convince me otherwise, okay? And so so there started to be like a conflict between the choir schedule and the children's ministry schedule. Now, to be fair, I had told my mom, like, when I went to Korea, when all that happened, I was done. I'll talk about that one day, but something basically happened in the school, and though that time I was like not affected, I would have been affected had anything else happened like that again. And for me, I just did not like that, like, you can gamble with my career so carelessly yet tell me I'm such a great teacher. Like, 2 + 2 is 54, and I'm not okay with that. But anywho's, I knew, I was done working with children unless it was children's ministry. But when that happened, I knew I had to make a choice. Would I stay on stage or would I go and be with the kids? I chose the worship team because, once again, I love singing. It is my first love. I know I'm gifted with children. I know I'm great with them, but above the children, like, I have always loved singing and worshiping, and I want to be on the stage for the Lord, and so I chose the worship team. Well, the worship team schedule starts to fluctuate, right? And they can't seem to get it together with the songs, with who's going to be on stage, with who's going to be on, what. I end up having another dream at this time. I'm on the back porch again. The blue snake that had bit me is already in the grass, like minding its own business. There rushes beside me another snake that's dark brown and light brown. And I say out of my mouth, "Oh my God, is that Paperclip?" I called that snake by name, like, not even looking in the eyes. I just knew. And so when I woke up, I was like, wait a minute, Jesus. Wait a minute. Because first of all, this is the worship team, and once again, I am not saying that Paperclip is a snake, but that spirit on him, that spirit that can work behind them. And so I called my grandma. I talked to her about it again, and the craziest thing happens. And I think it's before I called my grandma, I get a call. So I had this dream, and I wake up, and like 2 hours later, I get a call, and guess who it's from? Paperclip. And I'm sitting here like, Jesus, what? You're lying. And I don't know why I said that to the Lord a lot. I feel like I always say to the Lord, you're lying. And I'm like, I know you're not lying. Like, I know you don't lie. You tell the truth. But I get so shocked by stuff, I can't help but say it. And I have to learn how to help it. But I say that to my friends a lot. So I'd be like, you're lying. That's not for real. But so after this dream, and after I talked to my grandma, because she's like, you know what the answer is. Like, I don't know what you asking me for. You know it. I know it. The Lord knows it. Like, what are you going to do about it? So even on this phone call that I had with Paperclip and Left Wing, some things were said about other people in the worship team. And not only that, but when I was on stage, I heard some things about another person in the worship team. And I'm not going to repeat none of that, but the point is, I could already tell kind of what environment it was in, and I didn't like it. But I tried to stay up there because I really did like the people at the time, and I really did like worshiping. I enjoy it. And so I even remember, one time I came off stage, and this lady, the older lady, she told me, she said, I've never been to church. I've never been to church here before. This was my first time. And she said, your voice is so beautiful. And she said, it touched me in such a special way. And I will be coming back. Y'all, we hadn't even got the word yet, but just because I had sang, like it just truly made me feel good on the inside. Because to me, like, this is it, Lord. Like, this is how you're bringing like all these promises. Like, this is what you promised me, you know, like we stream on YouTube. Like, this is my big moment. Like, it's my I'm coming out season. No, it wasn't nothing like that. And so basically, and I even let them know, like, I don't have a car, so I can't just up and run and meet you at rehearsals. And I'm the type of person, if I can make it work, but if you just throw it out last minute, I can't make it work because I'm not on my time. I'm on other people's times. And I am not the type of person where I would just willingly get in the car with everybody. Yes, we go to church together. That's great and all, but I have to really trust you to get in your vehicle with you, you know? And so, long story short, I end up having to tell Paperclip I didn't want to be a part of the worship team anymore. And that broke my heart. Like, it broke my heart. Like, because I was so sure of like God's promises coming through this, and I was so sure I finally had it figured out. And like, this was the big moment. You know, my grandma had bought me all these pretty dresses for me to be on stage performing and stuff. And I remember when I got off the stage, because first of all, the Lord told me that He was giving me the stage. That was my crown. That was my crown, the stage, because what I had did for Him. But when He took me off the stage, He asked me, He was like, are you upset because you no longer get to worship me on the stage? Or are you upset that you no longer get to be center of attention? Because think about it. I was on stage where people could see me. I've always wanted to be seen. That's something I've always struggled with, not feeling like I was seen and wanting to be seen. Now here it is. He's taking me back off the stage and telling me, trust me and go back to where you were. And I just have to be okay with it. And here's where the offense got even worse. So, you know, I'm back in my seat. I'm worshiping from my seat because, you know, I have a loud voice. It carries. I don't have to be on stage. You're going to hear my notes, you know, like I'm a very solid voice part, you know, when I know what to sing and where to go and stuff. And I love singing, you know, and not only that, I am a teacher, so you have to shout sometimes to get the whole room to quiet and mellow out. But I'm going to talk about this, and I want you to hear what I'm saying behind it. Don't just look at it like, okay. So after I get off there, you know, and I decide not to do it anymore or whatever, I can sense some tension and animosity. And I'm not going to lie. I even said in the text messages between me and Paperclip, and one part of the messages, I was like, I didn't even feel welcome there anyways, so it's okay. And so Paperclip did apologize and was like, you know, if I did anything, I'm sorry. Now, at the time, I didn't feel like it was genuine because of the dream I had. Like, are you serious? The way you disrespected me in my dream? But, you know, it's one of those things too where Paperclip don't know that I have discernment about what's going on, because I never told Paperclip, like, in my dream you were the snake that was coming out again. I never uttered a word about any of that, you know. I just remember that my grandma told me the dream was about somebody was going to try to attack me, but it was gonna backfire and not happen the way it wasn't gonna affect me. That's what that bite symbolized. Like, I got bit, I got stung, but it didn't affect me at all. And so one day, and this has happened twice, but one day we were sitting down, you know, the pastor came up talking and stuff, and he starts talking about the praise team, you know, and he's giving them their flowers, and he's talking about how great they did, you know, and they have this new singer up there now, and like, he's just, you know, being supportive for him and talking about how, you know, the worship team, they're not up here to basically entertain y'all. Like, y'all need to get in the spirit, and that stuff is very true. But it bothered me because some of the things he was saying made it seem like we shouldn't expect things from the worship team, but they're the worship team. Like, they are the ones who lead us in worship. Like, you cannot have no accountability for them because they are the worship team. That is their job. And even if people in the crowd are not getting it together, you still cannot blame the congregation's, like, unresponsiveness on the congregation. Because, okay, let me see how I can explain this. If you are going to a performance and somebody is performing and they're not giving it nothing, like they're Milli Vanilling it up there, and you're like, for real? Like, for real? What's that mean? You know, you go to see CC whining and you're like, we got CC at home. You can't be mad at these people for, you know, some people just need help in ushering in the worship team. And if you have a worship team who is not going to try to at least try, then what do you expect? And so, you know, I tried to let that go and get out of my feelings, because I really felt like that was at me. And I was like, Lord, like, you know, and then I wanted to be offended too, because it was one of those things where I was telling my best friend, wow, and I have to work on it, not having validation from people. It just bothered me because as good of a relationship as I assumed me and my pastor had, I would have thought that he would have said great job, or, you know, and sometimes he may have, and I probably simply didn't hear him because I'm walking in the crowd, like my adrenaline's just rushing off, you know. And I even thought about, well, maybe if he learned from that and just wanted to encourage them, because it is a lot being on stage. It is kind of scary being in front of people who don't react to nothing. I've had to teach grown-ups to sing, and it is very different because they look so stone-faced and mean, and it's just like, this is why I work with children. But so it happened again where there was this service, and one of the first things the pastor says is, you know, like, it's not about who's on stage. You know, you can't say nothing about this and that person on stage because you didn't want to be on stage. And, you know, like, oh, Lord, help me get through this. But, you know, like, you didn't want to be on stage. And, you know, the worship team, they're not here for, like, performance, you know, reasoning or whatever. And, like, they're not a filler group. Like, if we all worshiped, we would be much better and we would be in the spirit together. And once again, I'm not debating that he's wrong, but my offense came from, one, you didn't even ask my side of the story. You didn't ask me anything about what happened, you know. And in part, I do truly feel like it's because Q-Tip and Cotton Ball are his children, you know, and he wants to defend his children. Now, I could be totally wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm right, but I'm telling you where my offense came from, what made me get offended with it. And so, you know, not only was I offended with it, but for that reason, but once again, I went to school for this. Not only that, I went to a sacred school. I've sung religious songs, you know, like I've been in choirs where we rehearse and we rehearse and we rehearse, you know, like I have been on TV where we rehearse and we rehearse and we rehearse. And so it offended me because in my mind, it's like, how can you not hold them accountable for something? Because to be a worshiper and to be on stage like that, it should be serious to them. Fine, you're doing it out the kindness of your heart. That's amazing. But when you have certain people on the stage acting like this is their show and like trying to go all out and belt their notes, that's not okay. It's not okay for the singers to be up there over singing each other and making it about them, because it is not about them individually. It is about them wholly. Everybody, all of us worshiping. And you know, like I say, 2 Sundays ago, I was standing up singing, and I've been trying to get really, really better at just being bold about my singing in the crowd, you know, because not everybody sings around you either. And y'all, I was so confident in these songs that I was singing, and I could hear myself so clearly. It felt like I was on the stage. It felt like I was right up there worshiping, and I just feel like that was the Lord showing me, like, baby, you don't need a stage. I am your stage. The Lord is your stage. Wherever he goes and wherever he allows me to go with him, wherever he places my feet down, like, that is my stage. But I wanted to talk about this story in particular in church hurt because I feel like a lot of times people are afraid to say what happened to them in church. And not only that, I feel like people forget that stuff can happen to you in a church, and it can hurt you the most because these are supposed to be your brothers and sisters in Christ. Like, these are supposed to be the people who know better, you know, and treat you with the utmost grace and love and all these things. So what happens when you don't get that? You know, what happens when your pastor reacts in a way that you're just like, my gasket is flabbered and I don't know how to feel about this, you know? And the Lord really had to work on me internally and be like, okay, I need you to stop looking at it like you looking at it and come sit with me for a bit and like let us dissect it together. And you know, I wanted to be offended because I felt like I was being called out, and I felt like shots were being thrown at me, and I felt like in a way they were trying to say I don't have a right to feel what I feel because of X, Y, and Z. But that's not fair, because if you feel like you feel, how can you tell me I don't have a right to feel how I feel? Wrong is wrong and right is right. And if a person is not taking their role serious, and if a person is not doing their best in their role, then yes, they need to be called out. Encourage them. I'm not saying don't encourage them and don't hype them up, but don't at the same time try to get onto the whole crowd for their mistakes, because we ain't doing it. They are up there singing, they are up there performing, you know. And if the Lord truly fills them up and we are all worshiping in spirit and truth, then it will be a beautiful moment and it will be a beautiful encounter. But trying to oversing each other and not being like on the right voice parts and all that stuff, that's just not, it's not right. And so, but I am happy to report, though, I will say at the same time, you know, one thing I always try to do is to pray for anybody I may have feel a little against, and anybody I think feel a little against me. But in general, I just pray for my church because I want my church to be blessed. So sometimes that choir be having some slaptastic bangers, like they be sounding amazing. I ain't gonna take that from them at all. But like I said, it was hard for me to accept what was given thrown at me, because I hate being wrong. I hate confrontation, but I will admit when I'm wrong and when I don't do things the right way. But here lately, really, how I've been trying to live my life, I've been trying to live my life from a place of honesty and integrity and really doing the right things. And so there is this song called Clean by Hillsong, and it goes, precious blood has left me forgiven, pure like the whitest of snow, powerful to make sin and shame retreat. The covenant is making me whole. So I will rise and lift my head, for by his mercy my life was spared. The highest name has set me free. Because of Jesus, my heart is clean. And I love that song because it was like the Lord was putting that song on my spirit that day. And all I kept saying is, I'm clean. I'm clean. Like, let these offenses roll off on you. Because honestly, my pastor probably didn't even know I was taking it like that or feeling like that. I don't know what the case is, but I know it wasn't my pastor I'm beefing with. What the enemy would have loved for me to do, to be like, I ain't going back to that church, that pastor ain't my friend, da da da. But I'm not gonna do that, because it's not about that. And more importantly, it's not about me. If the Lord don't want me to be on stage, he don't want me to be on stage. And I can't be mad at nobody like that, because it was the Lord who told me to go on stage, and it was the Lord who told me to get off the stage for a little bit. And so I really wanted to share that story with you and just say, you know, especially with church hurt, it is a thing and it can happen, but you must please remember, if you don't get anything else out of everything I'm drilling into you, it is not flesh and blood we war against. So don't get mad. Don't leave your church, okay? Don't be like being out here being mad at Becky Sue, talk about I ain't gonna even go to church, or I'm just sit on the other side. Don't. Treat everybody with love and respect and the kindness they deserve. The people who offended me on the stage, first of all, they don't even know. And I'm never, unless they watch this, they're never gonna know, because I don't need to tell them about it. Like, I told the Lord about it, and honestly, I'm not going to even tell you what the Lord told me, but He told me He would handle it, and that was another reason why I could just sit back in church and kind of be like, it is what it is, because once again, you reap what you sow. And I don't always think that it's in such a negative or bad way, but if you sow seeds of discord, you're gonna get discord. And so the Lord told me He would handle it, and I just truly believe He has handled it for my behalf. And on top of that, like I say, to me, it is great that He is, encouraging the worship team, because I wish I would have gotten more encouragement. And I did from people, but it would have been nice for my pastor to have been like, girl, you was rocking. My best friend was like, well, you don't need to be told that you're amazing. Like, you just know it. So perhaps he didn't think that you need to hear. And that could have been true too. I don't know what the case is, but I do know that the enemy loves to divide. And that would have been a great moment for me to just give up on church, give up on connections, like, be like, I hope you crack on every note you get, but I'm not gonna do that, and so I wanted to talk about that one first and just say, church hurt is real, yes, but still, you go to church to encounter the Lord. So if there's anything happening and other people are trying to beef with you and give those bad vibes to you, ignore it. If you can learn something from that church service, and without a shadow of a doubt the Lord told you to be there, remain. Ask the Lord to keep your heart and your mind and help you put on the armor of God. Ask Him to humble you and to just keep you and to not speak, because y'all, I'm telling you, I be like, Lord, humble me, anoint my mouth, anoint my voice, because I know if He does not touch me, if He does not go before me, if He does not carry me in Himself, He is gonna jump out, and it's just gonna be bad for everybody. But another story I want to tell you before I bring this to a close, because maybe you can relate to this better if you can't relate to the church one. Like I said, I was a preschool teacher. Now, this last school I got, and I talked about this last week, it was one of the first schools I ever got to be lead in. I've been wanting to be leader for a while, but this was the first one I was lead for. I got nominated for like teacher of the year. It was a whole shebang. I want to show y'all these two pictures. So these are me with my kids. It was a splash pad day, okay? These are my babies. This is Ashara. This one right here is Kate. She was a menace. She was a menace to society, and she got away with almost everything on my behalf because she was so cute, y'all. And I would carry her everywhere, and she would come and she'd be like, Miss Victavia, and I'd just be like, hey. She had my heart, okay? She didn't want to go to sleep for nap time, but she still had me in shambles. I don't think that I had like favorites, but this one was like my little girl right here. Kate, I loved her. Parting from her was so hard for me because I was in love with Kate. Like, she could have kicked any kid, and I would have been like, but what you do to Kate? Until I learned that Kate knew I had a soft spot for her, and so she was getting on over me. But anyways, that's Kate. That's my baby. And then there's one next to her named Jolene. No, this is Mila, and she was also my little, but Mila acted like she hated my guts sometimes. She had like a speech impediment, and so it was hard for her to get her words out, but when she got her words out, you could tell like what she was saying and talking about. I'm sorry, y'all gotta know this. This is my other baby, Madison. Madison and Kate, best friends, besties. Madison also got a lot out of me. I loved her too. I loved holding her. She was like this little chunky, cute little baby, and I just well, they had it that I called them babies. They were 3.5 to 4. I had them from 3.5 to 4.5, and sometimes 5, and sometimes I had them right at 3. They were my babies. They could have been 15, and I would have still been calling these kids babies. But in this classroom, I was the lead teacher. I was hired for the lead teacher position. I had a co-teacher, but it was my classroom. Like, I was over it. It was my first time doing it. I was excited, right? We used to have themes in our rooms, and hopefully I still have a picture of this theme. But we were changing themes again. It was time to change themes because it was no longer Christmas. It was coming into springtime. Excuse me, it was like spring, summertime. And we had just had like this whole Dr. Seuss kind of like event going on for a week, so we wanted to change the themes again. Now you could not have themes with other classrooms. You had to create your own theme. And so me and my co-teacher at the time, we were trying to brainstorm other things, because every theme we had, they told us no because another teacher had it, or no because a teacher had something almost like it, or they wanted to flesh our ideas out because they just didn't feel like it was a good enough theme. So we came up with like this musical theme, because I'm a music you get it, music major, love music teacher, all that jazz. And so first of all, what I ended up doing was we cut out this jukebox. I made the jukebox. We cut it out. We put it on some black parchment paper, and we made these little like quote unquote CDs, and it had the kids' names on them. Okay. And like some of the track lists on the jukebox was like, it's my party, I can cry if I want to, I'm not gonna listen to my teacher today because I said so, just cute little things like that for the kids. So what we did, because they had cubbies, like, for their nap mats, for their backpacks and stuff like that. On the cubbies, I showed my co-teacher this, and we did it together because I can't take the credit for all this because it was a lot. We took a bunch of parchment paper and we cut out these sunflowers and the petals, and glued them together and hung it up on each individual cubby. Now, first of all, we used the outline for J Balvin's Colores album. I put a picture in, but I really thought that those sunflowers were pretty, okay? And J Balvin, Rojo is my song, okay? I'm just saying, Rojo is my song. That's my song too, but maybe I don't need to include that in here. But Rojo is my song, and I really wanted to do it because I really liked the way the flowers looked, and I thought that it would just be a great addition because colores, like there's many colors, it fits with the jukebox. Like, the boy babies could have their colors, the girls could have their colors, or we could do a favorite color scheme. Like, it didn't matter, right? And so we took time to do that. Well, my co-teacher, she comes in and tells me one day that she had just stepped into the front office, and the manager, the curriculum director, and basically their favorites were in there trash talking our room theme because we had changed the theme again. They didn't know what the theme was. They didn't understand the theme, and it had been so much that was happening because honestly, preschools, they start out great, right? They start out so great, but you quickly realize it's not peaches and greens like everybody say, and they do play favorites, and they have favorites, and it's one of those things where if you're not a part of the favorite clique, then you kind of get thrown under the bus. And I have just learned, and hopefully this is word to the wise, just don't play the favorite game. Don't go in the office and like tell other people business, because you don't know who's telling your business. And if they can talk about another person, you can better believe they're talking about you, especially when you do things that make them mad. Now, one of their favorites, she would do things like climb on the gates, walk on top of the, she dang near was walking on top of the roof, but on the side of the buildings and stuff like that. But like on the gates. She was walking on the gates, and she, just the way she talked and carried herself, and knew about everybody else's well-beings. You know, it was one of those situations. And so I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I end up going into the office and I'm like, I heard that there was something said about my room, you know. And once again, I don't like confrontation or nothing like that, but I will if I have to. And that day, it just felt so disrespectful for them to all be in there together, having something to say about my room, me and my co-teacher's room. But yet you don't come in here and address us face to face. Not only this, we had over 18 kids that we did these flowers for, extra kids that they were piling in our rooms that they didn't tell us about till like the day of. So in our rooms, we were subject to have like 21 to 25 kids in the room instead of like the 18 kids we were supposed to be maintaining. And so I told him, I'm like, look, I heard that there was something going on with my room. Like, I want to know what the beef is. And I'm like, if you wanted to know about the sunflowers, oh no. The curriculum director was like, well, we just didn't understand the theme. That's all that was being said. We didn't know your theme, what you were dealing with, stuff. And I said, well, the theme is J Balvin Colores. It's an album. And they were like, oh, well, we didn't know that. You know, like, next time, just come and clarify with us so we know what you're doing. First of all, why do I have to clarify with you what I'm doing? Okay, you told us to change the theme, so we're changing the theme. And if you wanted me to verify with you the theme change, why you didn't come to me? You had everything else to say to these people, but you couldn't come to me and tell me that you were concerned with my room and to talk about us behind our back. And the only reason we knew about it is because my co-teacher walked in on it. And not only that, but for you to tell me that it's my responsibility to clear up something with you that you knew nothing about. Because if you knew the Colores album and you knew the artist, you would have known what the theme was. And if the theme is already jukebox, we didn't change nothing. We just added the flowers from Colores. So I couldn't understand what the beef was concerning the room. But once again, I ended up feeling offended because I felt like it was because I was a black lady. You know, I was the only black lead teacher there. Not only that, you know, I have one of the hardest classrooms in there, and my kids treat me nice. Like, the families treat me nice, you know, like, it's just, I was that girl, you know? And so I was really offended, and I walked away feeling upset that day. Like, there was so many times I would rant and rage to my best friends, you know, because we would hold these meetings about being so kind and loving to each other and being there for one another. And we're a family, we're a community, but it wasn't like that, you know, because it's so hard. It's so hard when people have opinions about you, and they have these opinions about you and they don't confront you on them, but they expect you to do everything and you're always the issue. And having that mentality of, I'm the issue, I'm the problem, it's me, that will cause you to get defensive, and you will always get offended when people come and try to tell you things. And it could genuinely be from a good place, but because you have these horrible experiences with other people, you start to build these walls up, and then before you know it, you're getting offended with God, you're getting defensive with him, and thinking that, like, your relationship is not peaches and greens, and that he's not being honest with you, or that, you know, just whatever have you. It is so important. It is so important that you remember not to war with these people, because it's not the people, it's the spirit and the principalities. So as I come to a close, like I said, I want to tell you those two stories because, for one, I wanted to tell you I understand church hurt, okay? I understand what it's like to be offended in the church, and you're sitting here like, first of all, this is supposed to be safe haven. Like, we are supposed to be brothers and sisters and be in this together. And then I understand what it's like to be offended on the job thing, because like I say, I was offended more than that one part on the job, but that one to me really broke my heart because, like I said, we had worked so hard moving the desk around, you know, moving the tables around. We've been doing everything they've been asking us to do with these overloads of these kids, with this extra amount of work that they've put on top of us, with them taking my co-teacher some days and not letting her be in the class with me to accommodate other people. And you couldn't give us a theme? You wanted to be mad at us about a theme that you didn't know nothing about, because one, you didn't come ask me about it and you didn't know the album. But instead of you just admitting that you were wrong in that moment, you made it about me. And that caused me to react in ways when it wasn't even like that. So that's why I say, y'all, you just got to put on the armor of God. And you really got to know and search your heart when you do things. Because if you're doing things out the goodness of your heart and the Lord knows you're doing things out of the goodness of your heart, then you're fine. Like, don't worry about people and what they have to say and their opinions and their perspectives of you. Like, you are good as long as you with God and you know you doing everything right by him, and you know that there is no ill intentions in your heart and you're doing things with integrity. Don't worry about it, because I can look back on these moments now and be okay with it. And once again, remember, it is not those people, it's them spirits on them. And at one point, I offended people. I trash talk people themes. So I'm no better than, anybody else. I've been on stage. I ain't always gave it my best. At church I did, but not in college all the time. I knew my professors knew, like, that girl didn't practice nothing this week. But, I have been there. So who am I to judge people and to say things against people when I do my own things and I'm not always, innocent? But I do now at least try to make it a habit to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong and apologize when I need to. So please live your life like that. Apologize if you need to apologize. If you're wrong, say I'm sorry and move on. But don't go around offending people. Don't go around sowing discord and just being mean, because you don't know who you're encountering, whose life you're touching and impacting. And you just don't be that person. Just be kind. Be kind to everybody. Be kind to yourself, because you don't want to be treated bad either. And so I know this one was a very long one and I'm very, very shocked. But like I said, offense to me is such an important one, because if you allow offense to harbor in your heart, it's just going to make you bitter and defensive, and you're going to be caught up thinking everything's about you when it's not about you. And you're going to have all these fears and all these anxieties, and you're not going to even be able to stand two people having a conversation next to you, because you're going to be assuming it's about you because of everything that happened to you. So talk to God about it. Help him ask him to help you see the true heart and matter of that situation. I know what my attacks were from both of them. I know, and me and the Lord done talked about it, and we good on it. But like I said, I really want to share my testimonies in those regards with y'all, because I could have been like the sons and went and just blew stuff up with my mouth, with my emotions, with my reactions. But that's not how we called to live, and you can't be running off of fences. You really just got to trust God. Let him deal with it. That's the best remedy. Let the Lord deal with it, because even if he doesn't handle it like you think it should be handled, he will handle it. And at the end of the day, we all got to tell him about what we've done and make it right. So don't ever think that anything goes unnoticed by the Lord. He sees it all and he works on your behalf. And even if it's not the fire and brimstone raining down on that person that you want, know that he's working it out on your behalf, and he will get the victory for you, because he may not rain down fire and brimstone on that person, but on them enemies he will, because that's his realm, that's his territory, that's where he works. So let your daddy work, because he is in control of all of it. So If you did enjoy, please smack me with the like button. Please talk to me. Come at me. Do you know what it feels like? What's an offense that you really have to work on letting go? Like, what is something that you still kind of think about and you're like, and it's still kind of, talk it out. Tell me about it. Tell us about it. So it'll free you. So it'll help you feel better on the inside. Please subscribe, please comment, please hit the bell for notifications for when I post more. And just thank you for being here. Please always remember that the Lord does love and bless you. May He keep you. I believe in you. I love you. And I hope whenever you view this, you have an incredible day or an amazing night. Goodbye, guys.